and the next minute I have nothing. I'm laying on an operating table, paralyzed from the chin down, told that I will never be able to walk again. But that's not the way I was raised in Gum Neck. I was raised with the possibility that there's always hope, always hope. And I was hoping that I would walk out of that hospital. One night, without any cause or reason, one of the bolts in the left side of my head broke, and when it did, it popped everything back into place, and after 18 months of being paralyzed, I started getting knitted back together again, and had the honor and privilege of serving our great flag in our country for 31 years, 17 days, 22 hours, 17 minutes. I love my country. Don't you? I love my... Boom! Hey! On 9/11/01, Flight 77 hit the Pentagon at over 500 miles an hour. It was loaded with fuel. The people in the Pentagon, many of them, were on the telephone with people who were on Flight 77, because many of those people were family and friends and co-workers in the Pentagon. The terrorists had told them, call your family, call your friends, say goodbye because you are about to die. In fact, that is part of the plot and insidiousness of terrorism. They were calling and saying, get out of the building. If you picture the Pentagon that day, and none of us can forget it, it's part of that brain, that old rhino brain that we don't forget for fight or flight. Part of the building collapsed, one part standing straight up. And in that part standing straight up, on the second floor, in the first window, about 30 feet back, that's where we are all standing that day. When the wall collapsed, all of you over here have just disappeared. You no longer exist. And that one awesome second, my life changed. From Vietnam, through Bosnia, through other incidents around the world, my life had been changed. But that day it was changed dramatically. When I was blasted back into one of the pylons of the building, I hit the floor so hard I could not breathe in or out. That saved my life. Have you ever been body slammed? Body slammed so hard you can't breathe? The fire that day at 2,300 plus degrees melted everything it touched, incinerated or vaporized it. Did you know human flesh melts? One moment we're all standing together talking. It's a beautiful day, and the next minute our world collapses. You don't hear much about the Pentagon, because one of the things that terrorists try to do is undermine your confidence in our government. So we put the cone of silence on the Pentagon. And 10,000 of us went back into that building the next day to look for fellow soldiers, civilians, Marines, sailors, airmen, Coast Guard, federal personnel. Also to secure documents, because we had no idea who was in that rubble looking. And we also went back in with a small thing called hope. Hope that we would find someone alive. Hope that today would be a better day. Hope that we would survive. You know, we're taught in survival training that you can survive about 30 to 40 days without food, about 15 max without water, but without the breath of life, you can only survive 5 minutes without hope. 29 of my fellow soldiers and civilian employees died that day, disappeared, and it impacted my life greatly. There are many other incidences that day where the images are burned into your brain, but also at the same time, there is something that provides hope. Like a mother separated from her child when the blast hit, and yet the two are miraculously brought back together. when it was time for me to leave the military, after we had rebuilt the Pentagon from the ground up, in less than a year, I have to say, my office was only 5 feet from where it had been the previous 9/11. I wondered what I wanted to do with my life. Where could I take the skills that I had been given, my experiences that I've been given, and apply them to help other people? I sense in this room today that many of you live, whether you know it or not, by the wisdom of the Old Testament that says, he or she who would be the greatest of all must be the servant of all. I submit to you today, ladies and gentlemen, that the graduates that sit before us today have pledged their lives to be the servants of this community, of this county, of these 2 states, because they have a heart for other people. After 9/11 and the cone of silence sat down and we worked, people focused on New York, they focused on Shanksville. They failed to see that in the Pentagon, people were falling apart. What we didn't have at that time were counselors. We did not have people there with your skills, with the skill sets represented up here today, to help us work through our trauma and tragedy. And yet, when they came, it made the world of difference. In that great building, there are 5 rings. And inside of each ring, it forms a roadway, about as wide as this middle aisle, where services is formed for the building all day long. Little UPS truck, little Pepsi Cola truck. Here comes the mailman. People are outside having a cigarette, taking a break. That day when the waters flooded from 5 levels of sewage breaking, from the water coming in from the fire trucks, it created a canal. In that canal, as we looked over here to the nose cone where it plastered against B-ring, we had to get the water out. Wherever the water went, the petroleum went. Wherever the petroleum went, the fire went. When we had to stop and pick up body parts, and I picked up a child's small hand, I was devastated. Even today, I won't wave at a small child. I'll get down on eye level. But do you know, I could not be where I am today if it were not people who helped me, like sitting in these front rows today. Counselors, you're going to need a counselor someday too, by the way. And a wise counselor always has a counselor. I cannot tell you how much you will mean to this community. Ladies and gentlemen, these men and women have determined to devote their lives to serving you. They honor you with their time, with their energy, with their feelings, their emotions, their love, their concern. And I think they need a big round of applause, don't you? You cannot know from the bottom of my heart how much you mean to me and how exciting it is to see that you're graduating here today and going out into the community to do great and wonderful things. And here's the great mystery of life. Oftentimes we do not know why we're here on this earth, but sometimes it can be the smallest and kindest word, the kindest smile, the smallest thing that we do for someone else that can change their whole life. And you will change lives. You will make your community better. And I'm so proud to see you standing here today. You look good. In fact, a couple of you look sexy. And I'm talking to guys too. I'm equal opportunity here, okay? You really do. You look great. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be here with you today, to be part of Lindsey Wilson, to be part of a great program that helps our states, particularly in these times. Every one of you in this building have an obligation today. Did you know that? By walking into this room, you have determined that you support someone, hopefully a graduate, in this room.